We're kind of reviewing this book here and some random thoughts. Lead generation, 61 days to double your pay. Obviously, a lot going on in the world, a lot of tragedy, a lot of headache, a lot of things going on for us to think through. And ironically, as I reread this book, I'm like, oh, I wrote some pretty good stuff in here. And day 17 is called Invest in Somebody Else. Invest in somebody else. And I think this is probably more relevant now than it's ever been, right? Because if you want to change things in your community, in your state, in your nation, in the world for future generations, really starts at home, right? Like, who are you investing in right now in your life? So let me just get into this. In nursing school, they have a great motto and a system for training. It's called see one, do one, teach one. The thought process behind the saying is that people learn the quickest, especially in fast-paced environments like an emergency room, if they observe an expert performing a task, they then do the task themselves, and then they teach the task to the next person. Even though you're only maybe a couple of weeks into this journey, right? You just joined the Facebook group, you've seen a few of these webinars, you've watched a couple of the webinars, you've watched a couple of the webinars or replays. English is not my thing this morning, excuse me. All right, even though you're only 2 weeks into this journey, right? Whether you're reading the book, you're logging onto these videos, you're watching some of the replays of the webinars on the Facebook group, you might be light years ahead of a coworker, a friend, a subordinate, a recruit, somebody who can't wrap their head around this idea of like, we've got to get back to business. And at some point we've got to generate leads. We've got to generate relationships. We've got to, check in with our referral partners in order for business to go on. Because look, I get it. I know it's hard to think through all of the stuff that's going on right now and conceptualize all of the challenges that are out there in the world and be like, yeah, but well, what can I do here in my little corner of the world in my job, right? Or is my job really even important enough to talk about right now with all the societal issues that are going on? Well, I would argue that now's the most important time, right? Because even if we could wave a magic wand and solve all of these systemic societal problems, and we could make COVID-19 disappear tomorrow, and we could make everybody peacefully get along and protest, and we could be out of all this drama that has been 2020, if we don't have jobs and economies to go back to, guess what? It gets even worse. And so in this chapter where I'm talking about invest in somebody else, now is a better time than ever to invest in other people, right? And so what I wrote in this chapter was, from a growth standpoint for ourselves, for our family, for our community, it's always good to foster a deep relationship with 3 different types of people, right? And maybe you can conceptualize right now who these actual 3 people are in your life, or who you would like them to be. So one is kind of like that Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Someone older, wiser, more successful than you, preferably somebody who's worked in the same kind of profession as you, so they know a little bit about what you're struggling with. But learning from that sage, that Yoda, that mentor, getting their knowledge and their life lessons and the practical experience, that's how kind of knowledge has been passed down for thousands and thousands of years. Before the written word, before the internet, before social media, it was like, oh, you found a mentor, you found a guide, you did an internship, and you learned from somebody smarter than you who had already, walked a mile in those shoes. So seek out those people, right? And if you've been the type of person that's been kind of in your little social media or geographical or social demographic, you've only stayed within that bubble, find some mentors that are a little bit outside of your comfort zone, right? Find some mentors that have had some different life experience than you. So that's number one. That's the first type of person you want to have in your life. And if you don't have that type of person, seek them out, because I promise you, there's somebody out there richer, more successful, more open-minded, more intelligent, who one of the things that we value as we get older is passing knowledge down to other people, right? You see people like Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio wrote this book called Principles. Ray Dalio is one of the richest men in America, and his goal as he gets older now, and he decides that he is getting to a point where he has to think on his own mortality. Now he's shifted everything from running his hedge fund and his financial company to like, how can I give back? his principles video series, his YouTube principles video series, it's about 35 or 40 minutes long. It's phenomenal. Covers a lot of stuff that he covers in this book. He's also got a 1 hour talk that I'll link to here. No, it's a 30-minute talk called How the Economy Works. And he's just putting out good content, trying to educate people because he realized he wants to be a mentor, right? So seek those people out. Imagine if you had come across Ray Dalio 2 or 3 years ago, this hard-charging guy, this billionaire who's built these empires, and you allowed him to become your mentor a couple of years ago when he was just getting to this stage of his life. Like, what a powerful tool, right? So that's the first type of person you want to seek out with. Next, seek someone out that's on a similar level than you, both, personally and professionally. I find building a competitive spirit, a sibling rivalry with other individuals, accountability partners, other people that have kids the same age as you, find some peers that you can work with and come up together, right? That's a lot of fun. And then this is one of the most important things you can do. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your stage of your career or your life. If you're watching a video series like this, if you're reading personal and professional development books, if you're just one step ahead of somebody else who's on the same journey as you, like, you can add value to their life, right? So find someone junior to you who has much less experience either in your craft or life experience, or maybe you're great with health and you can help bring some people along to a better, healthy standard of living. Maybe you've got some life experiences that you'd really like to share with people who are junior to you, either in age or status or financial well-being or at your company. Find somebody who you can invest in, because I can tell you, it's when you start to find those people and you start to bring them up, you feel better about yourself, you find better mentors, you bring up the people in your peer group, and it's this virtuous cycle, right? So like, if we really want to change the world and we really want to change society, like, look, I get it. I have no problem with anybody going out and peacefully protesting and holding up a sign and, changing their Twitter picture or whatever they want to do in order to give their little piece of protest or their little piece of knowledge out to the world. But I'm telling you, if you really want to change the world, find a mentor to learn from, help other people in your peer group come up and just share openly, and then find somebody junior to you who you can help bring along and improve their life. Because if everybody was doing this with 3 different people, it would just be this virtuous cycle of knowledge, of growth, of improvement. And then the reality is, when everything is improving together, there's a lot less stuff for people to be anxious about and frustrated about and angry about and pent up rage about and racist about and homophobic about and sexist about and everything else. When everybody's doing better, it crowds out all of these other things, right? So those are my thoughts for today. If you like this video, if you think this is a message that's worth sharing, if you think this is a group that's worth sharing, do me a favor, just, let me know that you're here. Go into the Generate Facebook group, like something, comment on something, leave a thoughtful comment, ask a thoughtful question in your own post. Like, the goal of this is to start two-way conversations, not just Scott Groves preaching at people. Like, I want to hear from you guys. Like, what do you need to do in your business right now to grow? What are some things you need to get back to? Who are some people that you need to mentor? Who is somebody that can mentor you? Just be thinking about these things. Let's find these people in the group, find them outside of the group, add more people to the group. We really appreciate you. And again, if you're watching this, you know what to do. Like, help spread the message and spread the Facebook reach by leaving a comment, hitting the like button. Or, if this was something that somebody in your life needed to hear, or you want to raise your hand and mentor somebody, or you want to raise your hand and ask for a mentor, do me a favor. Just on Facebook, you can start a watch party. Everybody in your sphere will see it, and just, be a good citizen today. Raise your hand and say, hey, look, this is what I'm good at. I'd like to mentor somebody. Or, hey, this is something I'm really having challenges with. I'd like to look for a mentor in this area. And, use this video as the excuse to ask. All right. Love you guys. We'll talk soon.